Welcome to the Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday, and welcome to another episode of The Lock Shop. Nielson and Huss back with you once again. Thank you very much for being here. And as always, The Lock Shop brought to you by the great partners we have over at Coolbet. Sign up for an account today using the code LOCKSHOP, and they'll take care of you. A 100% deposit bonus on your initial deposit up to $200. Huss, what's up, buddy?
Well, my semi-permanent residency here in Doha, Qatar is just about to conclude. Looking forward to getting back to Canada. Not looking forward to flying halfway across the world, but you got to do what you got to do. But I got to say, I mean, of course, we are football guys. I've also become football guy over the course of the last 2 weeks. And for anyone that's watching this live, this final day has been absolutely bananas. Korea with one of the best, most thrilling late goals in probably group stage history against Portugal. Moves on, Uruguay's out, and it sets up our final Doha double, which is live. We've had some nice success so far. The people have been pleased with our picks. One more, it's up right now at the Coolbet exclusives. We've got kind of figuring that Brazil, rest a few guys, they're already through. Cameroon plus a goal and a half, and the Swiss have been locked down defensively so far, under 2.5 in the Serbia-Swiss. So that is up right now. I believe it's plus 275. So if you want one more crack at the Doha double with us, get to the Coolbet exclusives before kickoff in about an hour and a half, as I said, if you're watching us live right now on the live stream.
All right, we've got a little bit of a different schedule today. Usually we give you our best bets, and then Saturday we drop an episode with our Partner Parlay and a few other parlays. Huss is on the journey back from Qatar after this episode later today. You're traveling for like the next 24 hours, Huss. So we're going to put it all into one episode.
Take the over. Take the over on that. Trust me. Take the over.
Is it that? How long are you going to be traveling for? What's the trip?
Well, I mean, listen, there's some delays. Like the flight to Abu Dhabi is just about an hour. It's like a Winnipeg, Minneapolis. You're up and down. And then we few hours in the airport there, and then it's like a 14.5-hour flight, I think, from Abu Dhabi to Toronto. And then Jake will be done; he'll be home sweet home. And then I've got another, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours, and then of course an Air Canada flight, and who the heck knows if that's going to be running on time. So I just hope that I'm back and lucid in time for noon Central Time on Sunday afternoon to get back to my regular Sunday operation. Hooking up with the fellas, cracking a few, and watching all the great games. That being said, I am looking forward to this week. Really interesting lines, Dusty. There's a bunch of really close games, essentially pick'ems, 1 or 2 pointers, and I know we're hitting a couple of those in our best bets today.
Yeah, we definitely are going to go there, and then we'll give you our parlays, Partner Parlay, really nice, plus 510 number. We're going to get to that. It's already live over at Coolbet. Click on exclusives. You can get it there. Hustlers, one game we're both on, and then we got a few other games here as well. So I don't know if you want to start with the Pittsburgh game and then dive into the rest of them, but what do you think?
Well, let's do it. Pittsburgh, which is a pick'em. I think at one point, I can't remember where it was -0.5 or +0.5. It doesn't really matter. Because as I said, I guess I got it a little while ago at -112, and you've got it at -110. So this game, Pittsburgh at Atlanta, basically is a pick'em. Listen, Pittsburgh was good to us on the Monday nighter. By the way, Bills and the under yesterday, very, very nice work. And you know what I said? I was going to get. I apologize to anyone that jumped on that field goal prop. I mean, we kind of just almost regularly do that because it's been so profitable. Just with the time difference, it wasn't up when we made the picks, and I wasn't actually able to even get in on it. So I dodged a bit of a bullet on that one, but nice. We're on a bit of a run right now with these primetime games, actually, on both of these sides. So
well, and I hit Buffalo over 11.5 in the first half too. So that was nice too. So it was a good night. That was a profitable night for the Lock Shop.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, those we always like to add a couple more fun bets or touchdown scores, but the ones that, I think really people, will ride with, and the ones that you will be judged on are the side and the total. And we got them both right last night. So anyways, Pittsburgh looked good on Monday. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are trending in the right direction. Now, Mike Tomlin this is a project. I mean, they're moving to next season. But Kenny Pickett, I think, gets more confident with every game that he plays right now. George Pickens is an emerging stud. And listen, TJ Watt's back, and we know that they are an absolutely different football team when TJ Watt is in the lineup than when he is out. And we've seen that in spades the last couple of weeks. To me, this is a tale of two teams. A team that started terribly in Pittsburgh, that lost their best player, and that is now sort of on the come up. And to me, I think we're seeing the law of diminishing returns on an Atlanta team that I think was playing a little bit beyond a little bit out of their league early on. They had a couple great wins, and credit to them. They ran the football incredibly well. They had a tough time stopping the run right now, and I think that we're just seeing reality catch up to the Atlanta Falcons right now. So I think Pittsburgh carries their momentum from this Monday nighter. I know it's a short week, but I think in this case, with the way that they won, and, the youth on this football team, I think that they'll be ready to go. And I think that they win this game. And, I love the fact that we're basically talking about just a pick 'em, and we'll get into that with the partner parlay, a little bit different than some of the spreads we've had before. But yeah, Pittsburgh on the money line. Really like that pick. And you obviously do too.
Yeah, I do. I do like it. I mean, kind of laid it out, I guess, on Monday when we looked at the difficulty of the Steelers' schedule so far. Right? They've played a bunch of really good teams. Heading into Monday, they had the most difficult schedule in the National Football League so far. They get games against teams like Atlanta here. They'll take care of business. Since TJ Watt returned, and this is kind of funny that, to me, this line is almost like, this game being a pick'em is almost what it should be without Watt in the lineup. That's why I like it so much here. Since Watt has returned, defensively, they've been excellent stopping the run. No surprise there at all. Top 10 in defense since Watt returned over the last 3 games. And I don't know what it means because it's not related to the return of Watt. But Pittsburgh's been running the ball extremely well over their last 4. In fact, their offense ranks top 4 in both defense against the run and offensively running the ball in the last 3 games. So they've started to find a recipe for their personnel of success. I don't see Atlanta stopping that. So I think Pittsburgh, you said it, heading in the right direction. They've transitioned to their younger quarterback. Atlanta has refused to do that so far. I think Pittsburgh's ahead of things on a bunch of different levels here. One of my favorite picks of the week, Pittsburgh -110 straight up just to win it.
Yeah, and let's a little tease. When we're both on it, pretty good chance it might end up in the partner.
That's going to pop up later in the episode.
A little later on. Well, listen, let me get to another game that's for all intents and purposes a pick 'em, or at least was when I picked it, and that's the Detroit-Jacksonville game. Detroit, when I got it in here, I don't have the live odds. I'm using a different setup without multiple screens.
I got them. You want it right now?
Yeah, sure. What is the latest line?
Detroit, -0.5. Hasn't moved.
Oh, -0.5.
Well, actually, yeah, it did move. Yeah, it's -0.5. They're -0.5 right now.
Oh, nicely
you got
done.
Them at plus
well,
a half. So
I got in a plus half a point at minus. I think at the time the money line was -105. What's the money line on that game right now?
The money line right now is, where is it here? -109.
-109 for Detroit?
I'm looking at it right now. Money line and the 0.5 are both -109 right now.
Okay. Basically, guys, this is a pick 'em. This is a pick 'em right now. And I think a lot of people are hype on what Jacksonville was able to do against Baltimore. Listen, that was a choke by the Ravens. I don't want to take away the credit that Jacksonville and Trevor Lawrence deserve for what they were able to do at the end of that football game because it was good. And I actually won. I had a Jags money line wager thanks to Jake, who convinced me in the lounge before the Canada soccer game that Jacksonville was going to win. But like, let's look at what the Lions have done over the course of the past month. I mean, they won 3 games in a row, and they took the Buffalo Bills right to the limit, and the Bills won by 3 in on a last-second field goal. The Jags have stunk on the road. Like, that was a big, big win for them at home. They have not been very good at home, and to be honest, I just love the fight that Detroit is putting in right now. Like, this could be a fun game, and I know we were talking about potentially throwing on the over in this game. But I just think that with the weapons they've got, and listen, for all the talk about D Swift, I traded D Swift earlier, kept Jamal Williams, and Williams has turned out to be.
He's been great.
Mean,
Swift's getting like 20% of the ball.
Exactly. I mean, it is Jamal Williams' time. And again, when Amon-Ra St. Brown is in the game, he is, one of the most impactful receivers in the National Football League right now. And yeah, the Jags are going up against the Detroit defense, but guess what? The Lions are going up against the Jags defense, and they have been quite porous as well so far this season. So listen, if you're going to give me Detroit, the way they played over the last month against a team like Jacksonville that stunk on the road so far this year, as a pick'em at home, I'm taking the Detroit Lions. I love the Lions in this spot right now. And I was, getting with Pittsburgh and Detroit, kind of don't have to worry too much about big numbers, just have them win the football game. I like Detroit, and they were my second pick when I was throwing the best bets down, Dusty.
Yeah, Detroit at home is excellent offensively, and you're going up. That should be a high-scoring game. I do like Detroit. I mean, you said it. They'd won 3 in a row, gave the Bills everything they could handle, and now they get the Jags, who might be a little fat and happy after doing what they did against the Baltimore Ravens. I see you're on Green Bay at 4.5. I think this line has actually moved since you locked this in. Green Bay right now, I think it was 3.5 last night when I was locking in my picks. Where is it? Yeah, it's 3.5 now.
3.5.
But I think that's because Justin Fields has been cleared for practice. That's what's going on here. Justin Fields has been cleared for practice. So
it's great that he's cleared for practice. He practiced a little bit last week too. I mean, do we think that he's miraculously healed over the course of the last 6 days with what?
Well, right now he doesn't even have an injury designation, which is crazy. Like, he's full practice. So I don't know. They've got a bye coming up too. I thought they might just sit him down for one more week, but.
Like, what are they doing? I mean, listen, if they can continue to lose and get that second overall pick, that could be a game changer for Chicago. Because let's face it, they've got their quarterback, or at least they think that they do. They're not going to be picking a QB. There'll be a bunch of teams that will be all over the interest of moving up into a quarterback, and you could turn that number 2 overall pick into a ton of draft capital and assets that might be able to speed up the process of getting the Bears back to respectability. Hey, listen, I mean, death taxes and Aaron Rodgers owning the Chicago Bears, right? And I know that Rodgers has been dinged up. He's been pretty clear that he's going to be playing. And as bad as the Packers have looked at times, to me, this is a perfect opportunity for them to get right. And, hey, these are big, big divisional games. Aaron Rodgers has a lot of pride right now. And I do think that they go in and they handle it. Now, listen, if you're thinking about betting the game, you're at a much better number. I mean, I did have to think about that -4.5, but I mean, to me, as much as I've been down on Rodgers, the fact that he's going to be playing against the Bears, a team that, honestly, even with the struggles that the Packers have had, I don't think that we're going to see another Green Bay performance like they had in Detroit a month ago, where they put up 9 points. I mean, I think that they'll run the football. Although both Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon are sort of questionable right now, limited in practice, I think they'll be out there. And I think Aaron Rodgers has to salvage his season with a few strong performances. So would I prefer to have it at 3.5? Absolutely. Unfortunately, I've got it at 4.5, but I do like the Packers to win this game. And I think they win it by a touchdown. So no worries. I'll lay the points. And then the final pick is the Chiefs. This is a huge game.
What a game.
Huge game. And I think the Chiefs have had this game circled on the calendar for the better part of the last 10 and a half months after the way they blew it in the AFC Championship game last year. If you recall, that game was Kansas City's. It was 21-3. They've on the goal line at the end of the second half. They blow it, and then Mahomes has had his one poor half ever of playoff football. And don't think that Mahomes isn't thinking about what happened last year and wanting to make a statement. Now, hey, credit to the Bengals. They started off 0-2. They're 7-2 since then, and they are clicking right now. But I think this is also a real opportunity for the Kansas City defense to step up and show that they are a different squad than, the one that has had some real ups and downs over previous seasons, especially in the second half, and especially against Jamar Chase. Because you'll remember earlier on that season, Chase went absolutely off, I think, for about 200 plus against Kansas City. Now, Justin Reed was talking a little smack on Twitter right now, said he's going to lock down who's ever there. He, of course, was the newcomer coming in. He's looking to make a difference. This is the game of the week right now. I'm surprised that maybe it didn't get into prime time. But Kansas City -2. I like him to win by a field goal or more right now. So I'm going to take it. And, I don't often bet the Chiefs in this, but I've got a lot of confidence of the direction that they're going right now. And I know Andy, I know Pat, I know that entire squad is ready for this challenge right now. And I think win or lose, the Bengals are still very comfortable in that division, especially after the loss of the Ravens last week to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So a little bit of redemption for the Chiefs on the road, 2-point favorites. I got them to cover that number. So my 4-pack, Pittsburgh pick'em, Chiefs -2, Detroit +0.5 point, and the Green Bay Packers -4.5. Although if you want to get on Green Bay, you can get them at -3.5 right now.
Yeah, and I in addition to Pittsburgh here, I've got a couple of dogs, and then I want to get into that Minnesota game in just a second. We'll talk about it a little bit later on as well. I'm going to start with Tennessee here, +5. That was the number last night when I locked it in, and I'll see if it's moved at all. But here's the issue with, and look, this is not a slight of the Eagles. The Eagles are a very good football team, but the one thing that they have struggled doing lately is stopping the run. And this line has actually moved. It's now 4.5. So it's been moving in that direction. I got it last night at 5. Actually, what happened here, it was 4.5 last night, Huss, and I looked at it, and 4.5 was -109, and 5 was -110. So I was just like, okay, well, I'll take it at 5.
Thank you.
So I took it at 5. Thank you very much. So I got a Tennessee. I think Derrick Henry, I don't know if Tennessee, they might be able to win this game, but I think their ability to run the ball, Derrick Henry could go up for 150 yards on the ground here against the Eagles. And Eagles offense, even to me, they ran the ball extremely well last week, but offensively through the air, they've sputtered a little bit. I don't know if the Eagles are in a spot right now with their inability to stop the run and an offensive air attack that's looked lackluster to cover the 5 here against the Tennessee Titans. So I'm going to be on the Titans and Derrick Henry against a lackluster run defense to at least keep it close at +5. I'm gonna ride with Russell Wilson this week on Denver +8.5. And Huss, I think you froze. You want to just reconnect while I break down my picks?
Yeah.
Looks like you're froze right now. I can still hear you, but you froze there. So Huss will reconnect. Denver +8.5. This week against the Baltimore Ravens. Now, I don't want this to be a pro-Denver pick, but it is because defensively, the Broncos can play. They've got one of the best defenses in the entire league. You got Lamar Jackson, who has practiced. As of today, he did practice, but he's been dealing with a quad issue all week, which is not ideal for a quarterback who's going to want to get out and run and probably have to in this game. His offensive weapons have completely dried up. They only have Mark Andrews, and Mark Andrews really hasn't done much as of late anyway. So, yeah, I'm going to get on Denver here to keep it close. I think 8.5 is a pretty big number for a Broncos team that has a really good defense, and then Baltimore's offense has just been meh as of late. So I'd like the under in this game as well. And if that's the case, I'm going to take Denver to keep it close against a Baltimore team that can't close either. So that's going to help the situation as well. Huss, are you still there? Did you freeze again?
I might have just frozen again.
I think you froze again. He's going to try to reconnect again. I like Huss coming in all these different poses as we work our way through this thing. There he is. He's back once again. So, Huss, you think I'm crazy for being on Denver here +8.5? It's a pretty big number.
Well, I'll be honest.
They just lost by the
Panthers
to 13. So, you were thinking Baltimore?
Well, just because I think Baltimore is going to be in a very, very angry mood after blowing that game last week against the Jags in the fashion that they did. And I don't know, man. Like the Broncos, it has just been such a nightmare season for them. And to think that Seattle's got their first-round pick.
I know.
But listen, you do make a good point. I mean, they've
lost a bunch of close games because of their defense.
Yeah, lots of unders because their defense is good and their offense.
They're 10-1, 10-1 on unders.
Oh my God.
Yeah, this is another under game because Baltimore's offense has not been great. I'll have more on that with our parlays. And then I'm on Minnesota -3. And I know the Jets right now, technically a playoff team. I know Mike White was all right last week. But They played Chicago last week. Huss, you froze drinking a pop, and it's hilarious. They last week for the Jets, they played the Chicago Bears. All right, the Bears are shit. Can't spin it any other way. So you beat the Bears. Congratulations. You've got a inexperienced quarterback making his second career road start against a 9-2 Vikings team. And the Vikings are a 3-point favorite at home. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I'm going to hop on the Minnesota Vikings here as well as the season of disrespect continues for the Vikings. I just had to double check again to make sure the Vikings are at home here as a 3-point favorite. And look, the Jets defense, if you're looking at individual aspects of this game, Jets defense might be the best unit overall in this game, but I still think the Vikings find a way. It's an 11 o'clock slate, Kirk Cousins, ideal time. Minnesota -3 to go with Denver +8, Tennessee +5, and Pittsburgh as a pick'em for my 4 best bets this week.
Well, here, and just quickly on Minnesota. And by the way, we've done this a couple times with the Vikes. I mean, if you want to give it a little bit more juice and take the Vikes at 2.5, I wouldn't be surprised if they win this game by 3. I think it could be close. But as good as we've talked about what the Jets defense has been, Minnesota pretty damn good offense as well. And, we saw what they did against New England, putting up 30+ on Thanksgiving Day. And
against a very good defense.
And they've got, of course, the extended week, a little bit of extra rest going into this game. So I'm with you as well on the Vikings. And maybe that's a nice little segue into the Partner Parlay, which, as we mentioned, is up right now at the Coolbet Exclusives. And if you're watching this live right now on Twitter or on the YouTube channel, check out that final Doha double as well. It's live up until kickoff this afternoon. But Dusty, we're rolling with some money lines this week.
Yes, we certainly are. We already laid out Pittsburgh. I added Minnesota as a money line from my side of this thing. So we're in agreement on Pittsburgh. Usually when we like a game, we like to throw it into the Partner Parlay. I just laid it out with Minnesota being 3. I like a -3. Of course, I'm going to want to toss him in here. Money line at home against young quarterback in his second road start. I mean, coming off a game against the Bears. This is a completely different situation going up against the Vikings. And then we worked together here, Huss. And, Washington was your pick. We worked together on Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was your pick, and we worked together on Washington, didn't we?
Well, we're basically in lockstep on these. I mean, yeah. We both have Pittsburgh in our best bet. So if we want to call that the lock shot pick, let's do it. I mean, regardless, it was pretty simple that we liked that one on it. And listen, I'm ready to throw it up the left hand for another Washington Commanders win.
6-7.
Listen, it's wild. They've won 6-7. It should be 7 in a row. Again, that one game against Minnesota, that bad fourth quarter pick completely turned that game around. For when Harrison Smith got it. That ended up losing the game for them. But they are on an absolute tear right now. And to me, this is similar to that Pittsburgh-Atlanta game we were talking about. Giants had that great start to the season. I think they've been exposed a little bit. And there's been some regression to the mean. Had Detroit, in the best bets a couple weeks ago. They went in and beat them in New York. And it seems like the odds makers are in agreement right now because the Commanders have been 2.5 point favorites for most of the week. Right now, it's -2 for Washington. But listen, I think they are on an absolute tear right now. There's a huge amount of belief in that locker room. Taylor Heineke, for the most part, has not been losing games for them. Their running game has been phenomenal. Brian Robinson and his big hat has looked amazing. And Antonio Gibson, oh, you're not a big hat guy, Dusty?
I'm anti-big hat, buddy. I feel like as society, we can't just be walking around wearing a bunch of big hats.
You know what? You're like 85 years old. Come on, let's have a little fun. The big hat.
Can you imagine a hat this big sitting on my head right now? How ridiculous is that going to look? Plus, they're like $100 Canadian if you want one.
You know what? Only winners can wear big hats. I mean, you can't show up to the media after losing without a big hat. But listen, I'm a big Brian Robinson Jr. guy. Guy got shot earlier this year. He's come back. He's running the football. He's wearing big hats. They're winning football games right now. And listen, I think it tells you all you need to know that they're a road favorite in the division against the Giants right now. Washington, come playoff time, if they sneak in, they're going to be a really, really tough out because Chase Young's back. Their defense is getting better. And you called it. This goes back to the conversation we had earlier about Philly. They can run the football. They can do it with a number of guys right now. Their offensive line is stepping up, and their quarterback doesn't have to win games on his own. So I love the WFT here. And obviously, we talked about Minnesota. We're not going to go with the 3 points. We're just going to take them to win this football game. So a little bit of an old school lock shop partner parlay this week with 3 teams right on the money line.
Well, yeah, but look at that number. Plus 510 for 3 money line wins. That's not bad. Just to add one more to Washington and the Giants. The Giants have lost 3 of their last 5. Their 2 wins, Houston and Jacksonville. So, I mean, the Giants have fallen off. I do believe they're getting a few pieces back on their offensive line, which might help things a little bit. But on the other side of it, I mean, they haven't beaten anybody of significance for the last little while. So we've got that going for us in the parlay as well. As Huss mentioned, live already, locked and loaded, lock shop exclusives. You'll be able to find it over in CoolBet. Join us at 510 or at plus 510 for 3 money lines. All right, Huss, let's dive into our other parlays that we're playing this week in our extravaganza. Huge episode here at the Lock Shop for week 13. Where are you going? What else you like?
Yeah, exactly. This is the Lock Shop super episode for week 13, packing it all in. The Partner Parlay is up at the CoolBet exclusives, and I've already got a couple other parlays that I've put together. And I'll start up with the first one. We were mentioning Minnesota. I mean, I think there's some value if you do think that this game could be close, and I certainly do, to take that half point from 3 to 2.5. It gets you to minus 122. The Washington money line is on that parlay as well.
This is good.
And then the Miami Dolphins plus 4. Now listen, the Niners have been incredible. They have not allowed a point. I believe Jake was telling me over 90 minutes right now of play. But here's the thing. They're going up against Tua and the Dolphins, and let's not forget who the head coach of the Miami Dolphins is Mike McDaniel, who is with the Niners. He knows this team as well as anyone. He knows the strengths and weaknesses of that defense. And, you know, he's got Tyreek Hill. He's got incredible weapons right now. And Tua's playing great. This is going to be a big, big test for Miami. Listen, I'm not sure that they win this football game, but I sure as hell think that they're going to be in it. And I don't think this will be a cakewalk the way San Francisco had last week. And let's not forget, the Niners only put up 13 points against the Saints, who aren't very good, to be perfectly honest. So I love the plus 4 on Miami. So again, adjusted that Vikings line to minus 2.5, took the WFT, or the Commanders, I should say, on the money line, and Miami plus 4. And you're basically at 5-1 at plus 496. And then I did look at some of the favorites. You know me with the best bets, I'm always kind of leaning towards the underdogs and taking the points. But there were some favorites that I do like this week. Listen, the Dallas Cowboys are in a spot right now where they've got the Colts coming in. I think the Colts were exposed. I think Jeff Saturday was somewhat exposed last week. And their defense, we talk a lot about, you know, all the guys, the fantasy stars on the club, and Dak and Zeke, and of course, Tony Pollard and CeeDee Lamb. To me, it's Micah Parsons. The guys on the defensive side of the football for Dallas that, you know, really are, you know, what make them a more dangerous and well-rounded team than we've seen before heading into the playoffs. So I don't mind laying the points. It's, I think, the biggest number on the board right now. Actually, it's minus 10.5 right now. So if you are making this, you'll get a bit better of a number. I like them to win by a couple touchdowns. I think this is going to be a long, long day for Matt Ryan if he even survives the day. And then we go to Baltimore. You mentioned it. I mean, Denver plus 8.5. I got it at Baltimore minus 8. I think that they come out and, you know, play pissed off football. I think Lamar Jackson needs a big, big game. And to do it against Denver I think would be a big, big boost for them going into this final stretch of the season. So I'm laying the 8 with Baltimore. And then, of course, we haven't talked about this game yet, but Deshaun Watson, love him or hate him, probably the latter, is back in the National Football League. He's completed his suspension, and he will be behind center for the Cleveland Browns. And, oh, guess who they got? The free space on the bingo card of the National Football League, the Houston Texans at 1-9-1. Cleveland is a 7-point favorite in this game. And again, we haven't seen them play in a long, long time. But honestly, I think you could make the argument that Jacoby Brissett, hell, their third stringer could come in and they'd probably be should be a 7-point favorite against Houston, the way that they played and the way that they can run the football. I'm not getting on any Deshaun props for this game. However, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, all of the things, the foundation of this Cleveland offense, I think, is primed to have a big, big day. And I think they'll try and get their quarterback a big win. That being said, I did tease it down just from 7 to 6.5. So Cleveland to win by a touchdown, along with Baltimore and Dallas, is a pretty nice number at plus 563. So those are the two parlays I jumped on early when we got the lines, and we're looking ahead to our normal Saturday program.
I think Cleveland could win that game without throwing the ball once, Huss. Honestly, between Deshaun Watson and Nick Chubb on the ground, I honestly think that's, I know that's stretching it a little bit, but I think they could win. If you said you can't throw the ball, I still think they could win that football game. So I like that play. I was a little worried about Miami
last year against the Bills.
Yeah, exactly. I was a little worried about Miami, but in games that Tua plays, man, Miami hasn't lost, or at least finishes and starts. Right? They lost the one that he got knocked out in. Outside of that, they're perfect when he's in there. So we'll see how that plays out. That should be a really good game. There haven't been many weeks this year where I've been like, man, there's like 4 games I'm legitimately excited to watch, and there's a bunch this week, so that's nice. I've done another somewhat adjusted total parlay. I've hit the last 2 of these that we've done on our parlay episode, so let's try to make it 3 in a row. And I'm going to go Detroit, Jacksonville in an absolute shootout. Move this number down to 50.5. So they need to hit 51 for this to cash. Dallas, Indy, under 45.5. Huss, you mentioned Dallas's defense. How in the world is Matt Ryan and Indy going to generate anything? This could be a 30-10 game. Like, I don't mind this Dallas to roll in this game. You've got the minus 11. So yeah, Indy and Dallas under 45.5. I think that number is actually 43.5. Bought a couple points, moved it up. Took the under at 45.5. And then Denver, Baltimore, I do think it's going to be a low-scoring game. So I moved that. I think it's at 39. Moved it up to 40.5. Took the under. So under 45.5, Indy, Dallas. Under 40, Denver, Baltimore. Over 50.5, Detroit, Jacksonville plays plus 462. Trying to hit 3 in a row there. And then straight up moneyline parlay, 5-gamer, plus 476. Cleveland, Seattle, Washington, Minnesota, and Dallas, plus 476. Baltimore cost me on the money line parlay I had last week as they collapsed against Jacksonville. So stay away from them this week, I guess. So there you go. There's 4 other parlays for you here with props and parlays.
I did not know that. Jake and I were here. I was up in literally the middle of the night here in Doha watching that on some stream that kept on cutting out. And all of a sudden the Jags go for 2, win. And as I mentioned, I gave him credit. He sort of gave me, he goes, Jags are winning this game. I rode with it. But I did not know that was actually screwing your parlay. There's probably a lot of miserable people based on, just, I mean, how does that happen? But we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to, as much as we're talking about the Chiefs and the Bengals and the Dolphins and the Niners, I actually am really excited about this Detroit Jacksonville game. See what we get.
It's going to be fun to watch. That's going to be fun to watch. Hey, let me ask you this. Would you start Deshaun Watson or Jared Goff in fantasy this week?
I'd probably start Goff, to be honest. I mean,
I think I might.
I
think I'm leaning Goff.
You just called it. I mean, listen, he's going to be throwing Amon St. Brown the entire afternoon. We expect a lot of points in this game. And as much as I know Deshaun's going to want to show off, hey, worth the wait and all that, they've got to win this game. Stefanski's going to give it to Chubb, and they're going to ease him in a little bit. So from a fantasy perspective, I actually think I'd probably go Goff, considering their opponent.
I'm torn on it. Watson's projected for like 8 more points, but I'm like, I feel like there's a 3-touchdown day coming here for Jared Goff. So we'll see. I'm going to be debating that for the next 2 days while you're flying home, Huss. It's already done. On your way back in just a few hours, you'll be back. We'll have a Monday Night Football episode for you on Monday. But it's been fun doing this Week 13 super episode of The Lock Shop, giving you our props and parlays and the best bets as well. Enjoy your final few hours in Doha, Huss. I'm sure you'll make it back one day.
Well, fingers crossed. I'll be there for Sunday. And again, thanks to everyone that's been checking out all of our content from Qatar. and as well as those of you that have run with us with the Doha double. I mean, we had that big one the other day with that England USA. What was it? Plus 400. So we're going to try and finish strong. I think today's is a plus 275. So I'm calling dubs on the Doha double and our partner parlay dust day. That would be the perfect way to end the journey and head into a big Monday lock shop back at home, getting ready for the Saints and Bucks on Monday Night Football.
Safe travels, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
You got it.